Hello and welcome back to HelpMePC. I appreciate you stopping in. If you're interested in Ubuntu and Linux and you want to get a start, this is what I would recommend doing right off the bat after you've installed everything, set your passwords and everything, and logged in the first time. And I guarantee it'll make your experience a lot better. There is kind of a steep learning curve when it comes to Linux, but once you get over that initial hump, everything else just kind of clicks and makes sense. So I promise you, if you follow along and return for some of the later videos, we'll get you to the point where you're comfortable using Linux. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification, and we'll get right into the video. Okay, so the first thing you should do after you've installed Ubuntu and you've logged into your server or desktop environment using your password, I'm assuming you have a GUI installed, is open up the terminal. So I have Kubuntu installed on this, and it may look different from yours. The regular Ubuntu is going to have like an orangey, pinkish background, and it doesn't use this console, this terminal specifically, but it's going to be the same command no matter what, as long as you're on Ubuntu or Debian. Sudo apt update, 2 ampersands, and then sudo apt upgrade. And if you feel like you are trusting of Ubuntu, go ahead and put a TAC Y on there, and that will just say answer yes to any questions that the terminal is going to ask me, and then enter your sudo password. Okay, let's break these commands down. So these are actually 2 separate commands. You can link them together with the and. Sudo just gives it permission to elevate to use basically administrator credentials. Apt is the package manager built into Ubuntu, so that's where you're going to get your repositories, and inside of those repositories there's different types of software. And what the repositories do is basically house a bunch of text files that are compiled together on your computer to basically run as software. So sudo apt update will update all of the repositories, and you can see a whole bunch of repositories through here. And then sudo apt upgrade will update the packages that have updates available in the repository. If there's no update available, it won't do anything, but you can look down here and see, okay, these are the security updates. It says I can update these automatically through Ubuntu Pro. If you don't know what that is, I'll do a video on that sooner than later probably. But the rest of them, let's see, the 5 upgraded. So you got Python. Okay, so these are packages that are being kept back, but they are packages that are available for update, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But it went ahead and updated all of these packages. OpenSSH client, fonts, libSSH, or library for SSH, more fonts, OpenSSH. Yeah, so that's pretty much all it was. So if you run that command again, and if you just hit the up arrow, it'll run, or it'll bring the last command up in your terminal. We'll actually go full screen for this. Oh, that's disturbing. What happened there? I did not like that. Okay. This is where I added the command. These are the repositories that it looked inside of for updates. It'll tell you down here two packages can be upgraded, and it actually gives you the command to see which ones are upgradable. So I'll copy that. It's going to read the package list, build out any dependencies that your packages might need. So not every piece of software comes with all of the packages that you need. There are things called dependencies that are they live in other repositories. They're used by the software, but they're not. They're required to be installed, but they're not actually divvied out by the person that maintains
Today, Junior!
the repository of the software you're trying to update. So it'll add dependencies, and it'll look for all of those. I'll have to show you Ubuntu Pro eventually. I believe all of these, if you wanted to enter them one by one, you could update them. I'm not for sure on that. I don't know why you wouldn't get VLC updates. That's a video LAN client. It's a way to watch videos. Video player, if you will. Okay, so we've got the 2 that are not upgraded. So we can paste that command. And I'm going to, just out of habit, sudo at the beginning of it. So we can see Python 3 Update Manager and Update Manager Core are being held back. And what they mean by being held back is Ubuntu is doing a rolling release. The packages are available, but they're not necessarily fine-tuned, if that makes sense. If you want to update these, you can actually just do sudo apt install, and then the Python 3 -update -manager. And I threw in a Y there to say, do you want to continue? Yes. It's just asking you if you actually want to or install these updates. So now I should be able to Ubuntu Linux, most Linux distros, if you hit up on the keypad, it will bring up your previous command here. But if you continue to push the up button, it will actually go through all of the ones that you've done as far back as the history goes. And I can't remember what the limitations on the history are. But if we go ahead and run this command again, sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade, you'll see that one package should be remaining because we only installed the Python 3 update manager. So I can't remember what the one was that was left. It was update manager core. That one should still be uninstalled. Although it may have been a dependency for the Python 3 update manager. So when I installed this one, it may have installed this one as well. Oh yeah, see, following packages will be upgraded. So that's a good example of there's packages that you can download. If they have dependencies, it will actually reach out and find them for you, and it'll install them knowing that you can't run the first piece of software without the second piece of software. Cool. And then we'll clear the screen. If you want to install multiple packages at a time, you can type sudo apt install, and then let's say you want to install Docker and you want Docker Compose as well. You'll just put a space in between Docker and Docker-Compose, and that will go ahead and install both of them side by side. They already exist on this machine, so it'll show you here it's already on the newest version. I just ran updates, so obviously it's already on the newest version. That's how you enter those commands in the terminal. The sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade -y is the first command that I would run the second that you open your machine for the first time.
Moving on.
Okay, so now we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing I'll do. Depending on the browser that you like, I mean, it already comes installed with Firefox, but I prefer Brave browser, and it's not because of the crypto earnings potential or anything like that. I think I used Brave for it's got to be over a year now, and I've probably made like $30 maybe in ads. So what they do is they allow you to sign up for an ads program where they will feed you ad notifications. They'll usually pop up in the bottom right corner of your screen. If you click on them, you view the page, spend a little bit of time on it, they'll pay you in their Brave crypto. And in my opinion, it is totally not worth it. It's not why I'm installing it. I don't have any affiliation with Brave. But let's go ahead and use Firefox to show you. And this is just me typing into Google. I think this is Google. Yeah, Google. Installing Brave on Linux. There we go. I've already looked into it. Don't let this deter you from trying to install a browser using the command line. I could be wrong. I believe at one point in time you could click download Brave and it would download a .deb package, which is like an installation package. Like if you're on Windows, you'll download a .exe. It's pretty much the same thing. You'll double click on it, and well, in Linux it's more convoluted. Yeah, you'll actually use dpkg or dpackage, however you want to say it, to install the package. You don't have to do that anymore. In fact, if you click on the download Brave tab or button, it just brings you back to the same page. So they really could just get rid of this for if you're on the Linux page. I don't know why they didn't get rid of it, but let's go ahead and just jump into this real quick. So what it wants you to do is it wants you to install curl. And so this is a download utility. It'll actually reach out to a URL on the internet, and the URL is just this right here. It's an address for a site. The URL will have a file that you'll download. So yeah, we can break it down like this. You want to install curl, and then you're going to tell the terminal to curl. I can't remember what all these flags stand for, and if you're worried about it, you can look up these flags. You can see exactly what they do. I trust Brave enough. I've used them long enough to trust them to know that they're not going to do anything stupid. At least not on purpose. Most companies don't, intend to get their users hacked. But this should be easy enough or safe enough to install that you shouldn't have to worry about that. Plus, you're on Linux. There's not, I mean, there's people that are actively working on, I'm just going to cut all this out of the video. I'm not trying to talk you out of installing a browser, but we're going to go ahead and walk through this. Sudo curl, do all the flags that it wants you to do. And so this is the location in your file system that it's going to add the keyring for Brave browser. And then the second command inside of here is, this is where I would like you to go to download it off of the internet. And that's all this command does. And then down here, it will echo, which means it's just going to print it to the terminal. So if you want to see what that looks like, echo fun just returns fun, right? So it's going to print out and say this happened, basically. Okay, and then it's going to t etsy apt sources.list.d brave browser release.list. So it's going to add this package repository to Etsy's sources, so it knows where to reach out for updates. And then you'll do a sudo apt update. That's just always a good thing to do before you go to install a new package, so that you guarantee that you're getting the newest package available. So let's go ahead and copy. Actually, we'll put these side by side. That is not what I wanted. Ubuntu. There we go. Okay, so I'll actually type it out. It's easy enough. Sudo apt install curl. I can't remember if it's already installed. Oh, no, it's not. Good thing. Cool. So I'm going to copy this one because he wants to type out all of that. And then I'm going to paste it and click enter, press enter. All right, so it added the keyrings, which is, we basically want the keys to make sure that the connection is secure between you and Brave. Hopefully I'm doing a good enough job of explaining that. Okay, so we'll copy the next command, we'll paste it in there, and we'll press enter, and it echoed this, so it did what it said it did, or said it was going to. And I'm curious where that stops. Did it stop? Okay, it did stop. So this right here, or I guess on this it's probably easy to see, inside of the quotes, that's what it's going to echo. And that's what it did. Went from deb to main. And then this is the command that it did to add the list of sources to Etsy. And we'll go over what Etsy is in another video as well. You really don't need to worry about it. Okay, so we are going to just type it as short, sudo apt update. So now we should see, yep, we'll see the Brave browser repositories. And this is where it's going to reach out and look for any new packages that are available. So now when we go to do this next command, it will actually know where to reach out to download Brave browser. If you run this command without adding these two commands, it will return something that to the effect of, like, we don't know where to go to look for this. There is no package matching this. Okay, so all packages are up to date. Skipping acquire of configured file, main library. Okay, so we don't need these packages. We don't have this architecture inside of our computer. If you look up here, it'll say AMD 64. Those are the packages that we want. Once again, it's just a notification saying, hey, we decided to skip downloading these packages because they don't apply to your computer. It will do it based off of the architecture of your operating system. Okay, so we will paste this, and this will install Brave browser. And we'll click yes. And once this is installed, I'll show you two different ways to open it. Okay, now that it's installed, so there's two different ways of opening things in Ubuntu. So you can actually come into the menu, and this is Ubuntu, just to be clear. So this is essentially the start menu from Windows. It's mimicking the start menu from Windows. It's not the start menu, but Ubuntu has something similar. You'll click something in one of the corners. I think in a lot of the old distros, it was actually in the top left, but you can make it look more like Windows now. You may not see this exact menu. Don't panic about that. It'll act similarly on other, let's see, Ubuntu. Actually, I'll do this on the screen so you can see how to do this. Why is it not typing? Oh, okay. Am I experiencing a bug here? What's going on? The VM does not have my keyboard. Okay, I'm going to fix that and I'll be right back.
2 hours later.
Okay, that was really weird. Somehow I had clicked something on my host machine. So this is a virtual machine. It uses the mouse and keyboard that's on my main machine, but I clicked on something on my host machine that actually took over the keyboard, and it held onto it, wouldn't give it back. So I closed out that application, restarted the VM here, and now all of a sudden I can type again. We were going to open Brave browser. So if you ever open your terminal and you're too lazy to go into the settings and make these words bigger, you can actually push Control Shift and plus to make it get bigger. We'll go ahead and go 2 sizes bigger. There we go. Okay, so one way to open Brave browser, and we installed the package Brave-browser. So we'll go ahead and we'll just see if this is already set up. Brave-browser in your console, and it'll open Brave. And this is all fine and dandy. Dark mode, next. I don't want you to spy on me, finish. Okay, so this is Brave browser. We're going to close out of it, and I'm going to show you the other way we were talking about opening it. So this is one way you can, all this stuff is just logs and errors and stuff that it didn't open the way that it expected it to, but it's all working the way that it's supposed to. You can just ignore these. Type in Brave browser just to open it. I believe Firefox is just Firefox. So yeah. You can open things from the terminal that way, or you can come over here, and on mine I have an internet tab, and it's going to have both browsers in it. On Ubuntu, I believe it's just like an all applications button, similar to this, and then you'll just scroll through and find the application, just like on Windows, and you'll be able to open it. So I don't remember how to set it as default. Let's go through this together. Wow, that's pretty easy. That's one of the great things about Linux. We'll clear this out. Is a lot of times automation happens way better than Windows because people program things specifically to work well in Linux. And Windows has some convoluted ways of doing things in the name of security. Not that Linux is less secure, it's just that the developers of the operating systems tend to go out of their way to make things easier on developers. So now you've installed a browser. You have learned how to update the computer. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay, the next thing that comes in handy after installing Ubuntu is installing a way to edit text. And it's not, so graphical user interface, GUI, is what you're looking at right now here. So I've got things I can click on and interact with. But when you're in a command line interface or CLI, you're basically in a terminal, but it's a permanent terminal. It's the size of the full size of the screen. It's typically used for like server applications and stuff like that. Normal everyday users won't typically spend a whole lot of time in the console or terminal. But one way to edit things, if you want to just create a file, you can sudo touch and then do the name of the file. Let's do test.txt. And this here shows what directory you're in. The squiggly line or tilde, whatever you want to call it, just means you're in your home directory. And I'll go into file systems of Ubuntu later. That's just another deep dive that we could go down. Essentially, this is going to create a file called test.txt in your home folder. And actually, we'll make this easier on everyone. We will do a /, which means from the current directory that I'm in, I want to go to another directory, and then we'll type in desktop, another /. So the test.txt file will be created in the desktop directory. We'll hit enter. And because I hit sudo, gotta enter a password. If you're working in your home directory, you don't necessarily need to use sudo because you have the rights. You're the owner of this file. It's in your home directory. You get to change it however you want. It's just good practice to put sudo in front of things because when you're working in other directories, you won't be able to make any changes without adding the sudo command. Okay, so we've created this test.txt document. And in the graphical user interface, you can just double click on it, and whatever's installed, I believe on Ubuntu it's called Kate. There's other ones though that are just as good or better. We can actually go ahead and type test and click save. Oh, root privileges are needed. Okay, so it didn't automatically make me the owner. That's good to know. Everything that I said about sudo is wrong. And it may be because I use sudo to touch it. Let's actually test that. We'll go touch /desktop /test2.text. Whoops, that's a slash .txt. And we'll double click on it. So we didn't add sudo to that command. We'll go ahead and do test2, click save. And yeah, okay, so it's because I did sudo. So I guess while you're in your home directory, don't use sudo because it'll make it so it has root. Unless you don't want just a normal everyday user to be able to open it. Or if you want to make sure that someone needs your sudo password in order to open it, I guess go ahead and use sudo. Anyway, I'm rambling now. So we have this test.text, and we'll actually remove rm for remove test.text. Okay, actually, so we'll go ahead and use cd. Cd is to change directory. We want to go to the dot, just means the current directory that we're in, / means new directory, desktop, and you can hit tab to finish the word out, and we'll just go ahead and hit enter. So that puts us in the desktop directory. So now I don't have to add this to the beginning of every command that I'm doing. We want to remove test2.text just to make things simple. So we'll go ahead and sudo rm and then test2.text. And when I said you could use tab to finish a command out or a file name out or something like that, because there's two things here that start with TE, it actually won't finish for you. You have to get to the last common letter or character before it'll finish everything out for you. So just to show that, if I double click tab, it'll go to test, and then it'll show you, okay, these things have the same word in them, test. They start with the same word, but there's a difference here. There's a 2 on this one. So which option would you like to choose? And it's cool that it shows you the options without having to like run ls on a directory. So that's another way to show you what lives in this directory is ls, list short, I think, or list. It's just list. The tac a just means everything. I want to see hidden files and everything. You can actually just do ls and it'll show you all the things that a normal everyday user would want to see. Okay, so sudo, finally, sudo remove test2, and then we can hit the tab button and it'll finish filling out the rest of test2.text. And then we hit enter, and now that file is gone. Let's say you want to edit the test file, but you want to learn how to do it in the command line, or you don't want to use the built-in Kate, which I think is the Ubuntu Advanced Text Editor. It is. So the KDE desktop environment is what I wanted to use. Ubuntu is just an easy way to do that. You install Ubuntu instead of just Ubuntu, and it'll install all of the KDE things over top of it. All right, so there's the next package that I want you to install is called Nano. So we would just go sudo apt update just to make sure there's not any new. I mean, we just updated like 5 minutes ago, so there shouldn't be any new things in the repositories, but I guess you never know. It's a worldwide organization working on this OS. So it's possible, I guess, that they could have released something new. So we did an update. It said everything is there. It also said, hey, we're not going to download these i386 packages. I'll show you how to get rid of this message later. You basically just need to tell it to skip this library. All right, and then what was I do? Oh, okay, sorry. Sudo apt install Nano. Nano is already installed. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, you know what? I probably installed it already. Okay, just so you can see what it looks like, because I hate when people are like, oh yeah, it'll look different on your screen, but you know, I already did that once in this video. I don't want to do it again. So we're going to do sudo apt remove Nano. Yes. Okay. Now, if we go to sudo apt install Nano, this is what it should look like in your terminal. So it'll reach out, it'll find the new packages that it wants to install, and it'll install everything for you. So we're still living in our desktop directory inside of the home directory, and we want to access test.txt using Nano. So let's go ahead and sudo nano test.txt. And you don't have to use sudo apparently if you didn't use sudo to create this file. I should have known that. I've been working in Linux for a long time, and I just put 2 and 2 together now. All right, enter. So now we can see the text that we saved inside of Kate when we had it open. If you want to, you can do a couple of cool things in here. So if you hold shift and highlight things, I don't know why it didn't highlight test. You can use Control K to cut. You can use Control 6 to paste, I believe. Oh, that didn't paste. Oh, it was Control U to paste. My bad. What was Control? Oh, it was Alt 6. Oh, copy right there. If you want to copy this and paste it again, you would highlight it, and then it's Alt 6 on the numpad. Come down to a new line, and Control U for paste, and now you have 2 tests. Okay, so now to save in Nano, you have 2 ways of doing it. I'll show you the one that I do. Control O means write the file out. All it means is save. It'll ask you what file name you want to write to. If you're making changes to a file and you don't know if you want to overwrite everything that you've been working in, you can always add a 2 there. Or if you're inside of a file that is going to change, you can name it .old. It doesn't, in Linux, it allows you to do that. It doesn't throw any super crazy errors. You'll still be able to edit it later. But we'll just go ahead and overwrite what we had there. So you'll hit enter and then Control X to leave Nano. So another one that is, I've used it before. I think it's decent. You need apt in there. Sudo apt install gedit. And gedit should have a graphical user interface that you can use. It's similar to Kate. We'll go ahead and install it, and we'll see when we open it what it looks like. Oh, you don't need sudo, I don't think. Yeah, okay, so this is gedit. It's very simple. Not very many things in here. You've got a menu over here. You can choose find and replace, choose different views and tools and stuff like that. But it's a very, very simple way of doing it. And if you're brand new to Linux, I would recommend installing one of these GUIs. I know there's a lot of Linux enthusiasts that would punch me in the face for telling you to do this. But sometimes it's confusing to go into the command line editor. And like I'll show you here. Oh, it's running gedit right now. Control C to break out of that, by the way. So there's files in Linux that are fairly big. What do we want to look at? Group should have a whole bunch of stuff. So sudo nano group. Yeah, so here you got a whole bunch of things in here. I can see how this can be overwhelming for new people, I guess is what I'm saying. This is where you would come to add certain users to certain groups. So if you wanted my user PHTech to be a part of the Docker group, you can simply add them there. It's comma separated. I don't think there's another user on here, but you could, if you have an admin user, you can add admin there. And then it's the same thing, Control O, enter, Control X. And let me tell you right now, if you're working in the Etsy directory, I don't recommend changing the name of the file because you can break the operating system. It'll still continue to run, but after a reboot, if it can't find that, any of these files, it'll throw an error, and you'll have to basically get in using the command line, remember what you did, and undo it. So I would not recommend renaming these. These are system files, system directories. If you start to get better with Linux, you can kind of start to understand, can I do this or can't I do this? I would just recommend staying in your home directory for now, I think that's probably where we'll end the video. Kind of went off on a tangent. Those are pretty much the first few things that I would do after installing Linux. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. If you stayed this long, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell notification. And yeah, thank you for your time.